Hi, I'm Turk Strongman at Thurain Q Ramacharaka. Thank you for selecting this video on, I don't know, what shall I call it? How shall I describe it? Just for the purpose of finishing my sentence here, my thank you, I'll call it the home of the soul. But before I continue, let me get past something that's bothering me. It's the ongoing possibility that perhaps you have not yet subscribed to this channel. I urge you to do so right now, while it's being talked about here. It's in your own best interests. And while you're at it, go ahead and activate the notification bell feature. And if you like this video by the time it's finished, then please remember to give it a thumb up so that I know you liked it. And of course, share the joy of the channel with others. And now with those humble requests having been made, let's continue. Recently, I was talking with an old friend, and he asked me where I'm from. We were having already a somewhat deep conversation, so I thought that perhaps, well, he also asked me if I'm human at the same time. So I said, biologically, I'm Homo sapiens. And I have a conscience. So I guess, yeah, right now I'm a human being. Then he asked where I'm from. I thought maybe he was referring to, I don't know, like, am I starseed? Am I actually, some other species? What planet might I be from? I wasn't sure what was really being asked for, so I said, I don't know. And he said, yes, you do. Because I saw one of your old videos from your original Thurain Q Ramacharaka channel. And you talked about the light, that you experienced the light, that you stepped into the light. And I knew what he was talking about now. And I said, oh, yes, there is that, yes. And I remember that in that video I said, this is where I'm from. This is my home. This is my real home. So, I don't know if that video has been re-uploaded to this channel by me. I think not. And I'm not sure where that video is or what it's called. I probably still have it somewhere in my archives, from which I am uploading a lot or almost all of my old videos as I see fit. Well, let me just give you a summary, a synopsis of the content of that video to which my old friend recently referred. As a teenager, I went through about 3 years of experience, mystical experience, you might say, on a daily basis, in an incremental fashion. Each lesson that I was being shown, taught, and experienced, and acted in, built upon the ones before. And like I said, keeping this short, at the end, the final thing involved me with the beings who, for a long period, were unrecognized by me, but I had slowly, over the 3 years, become aware of their presence and was able to more directly hear their words and their voices, which included things like, at each step of the way here, we have shown you things. We have shown you different planes, different levels of cosmic manifestation. And you have learned the lessons that we wanted you to learn. And at each event also served as a test because you were let go increasingly on your own to make your own decisions about how you would act, what you would do, what decisions you would make with the skills you were developing and the abilities that you were developing. And you have passed each test. They were tests of what's in your heart, of your intentions, they were moral tests. And you have passed them. Now you have arrived at the end here, at the final step that we have for you. And, you know, at such a point, I cannot say with certainty whether where I found myself, if where is the right word, it's not. At what state, at what level of manifestation I was actually at, because, well, it looked to me like what was before me, different than all the rest of the times that came before, was a dark hallway, a passage, and it was dark. And the beings, I could never see them. And I don't know exactly who or what they were. I never did. I still do not. It seemed to me that they were very loving, very knowledgeable, and very powerful. And they were showing me things that for the rest of my life, with all of my study and experience, corresponded with reality. And they played a large role in many of the things that I post here, my own words. They do play a role in that. Okay. But here we were, they and I, and I'm facing what looked like, maybe it was a metaphor, maybe it was what my mind could comprehend at the time. Maybe this is not the real nature of what did lie before me, even if before me is the right term. But they said, it is now completely up to you to move forward. Again, if forward is the right word, exactly, or to take this last step, you must do it alone. We cannot go here. This is the end of where we go with you. But you can do this, and it's up to you to do by yourself now, without us. But we will be right here when you return, if you do. This occurred. We got to this point for approximately 40 days in a row. Only on the last day did I go all the way. What I did the previous days, 39 or so, was proceed in the darkness. And then I would arrive at what I call, and it's probably a metaphor, but it's what I saw, what I experienced, what I call a room of 1,000 doors. Because what lay before me is what looked like doors. And they all looked alike. And let's say I immediately faced one, but then to the left and to the right, as far as I could see, each diminishing in size, to the left and to the right, like all in a straight line before me, doors, the same, they all looked the same, but they each diminished in size because they were getting further away. If I moved over to the next door, then I saw the same thing. The one I was looking at was now to the side and just slightly smaller than the one I now faced. They all look like the same door over and over, a pattern, a form that just repeated endlessly to the left and to the right. And there was nothing to do. I mean, my options were to just stay right there, do nothing, go back, or go through a door. And what caused me to hesitate for approximately 39 days was I didn't know what was on the other side of any of the doors. And I was hesitant to go through because whatever was there, I mean, after all that had taken place for 3 years, I suspected that this final step might be of great consequence. And I didn't know what that consequence would be. I had changed in so many ways, but this seemed like this would be a fundamental change right down to my very core, to the core of my being. A deep change that would involve all aspects of my being. And what if I wasn't even the same person anymore once this occurred? And what if, when I wanted to come back through the door, I couldn't find that same door? What if there were no doorways back? What if I came back through another door and didn't even come back to the same place, the same universe, whatever? I did not know. So I turned back each time until the last time. And because I didn't turn back that last time, then that was the last time. So I'll tell you what happened. And here's where words fail me even further. I stepped through a door. And suddenly, if I looked behind me, there were no doors. There weren't any. What I stepped into was utterly different, in every regard, different than anything else. Anything and everything else. I was now in pure light. It was whiteness. It was, I don't even know if white is the right word. It was light. It was like the light that gives rise to all other light in the cosmos. All color, all light. It could have been just pure prana. It could have been pure electricity. It was light. That's all I can say. Like the light. And it was comprehensive. There was nothing else to see. It was in all directions. I could not see any aspect of my body, astral or anything else. I was part of the light. And I could not tell what position I was in it. It seemed like I was everywhere in it. And let's say, if it had an emotional aspect, it was pure love. If it had a mental aspect, it was all knowledge. If I had a question, it would have immediately been answered. I would have known the answer. Any question. I knew this. I just intuited that. I was just bathed in that understanding. But I had no questions. There were none to ask. None were needed. And I felt like I was home. Like if I went on a vacation to the beach and I was weary to go back home, then I would feel good when arriving back home. But that's not the same kind of home I'm talking about here. It's a rough approximation of the notion of going home. But this was my home, the home of my soul, the home of the essence of my being, the starting point, and perhaps the ending point. If I were to finally go home, well, I felt like I had finally gone home. It was all peace. There were no divisions, no categories, no individualized descriptions of it at that time and while there. It was just everything. Love, knowledge, peace, joy, consciousness. It was all of that at the same time. And I knew, I felt, I believed. It was just part of my understanding of the state of affairs at hand, that I was home and I did not have to leave it anymore. I could stay right there. Oh, and by the way, there was no concept of space as we know it, or time as we know it. It just, in other words, I cannot say, while in that state of affairs, how long I was there. How long that was the state of affairs with me. There was no concept of time. Time. It could have been a second. It could have been eternity. There was no difference between the two. I made a decision. And the decision was, I need to tell others about this. I cannot stay here. It is now my duty to inform others of this, because this was real. This was unchanging. This was stable. This was peace. And I need to tell others about it. I need others to know about this. I need others to know about the reality of this. I need others to know that perhaps, like with me, this was their home. And instantly, I was no longer there. I came back through a door, but I could not see any doors. I was just simply not there anymore. I was on my way back, the way I had come, the dark passageway. And then I heard the beings. They said, okay, you did it, and now here you are. You decided not to stay. You could have done either thing. You could have stayed, and that would have been fine. But the decision you made, that is fine too. You decided to delay your final return home. You decided that you wanted to tell others. You decided to perhaps wait until others are aware of this and have this self-knowledge about themselves. You decided to be a messenger. Okay. That's fine too. And I asked, why? Why did you show me this? Why did you bring me here? And their answer was a simple one, and very directly stated. It was simply this: because you're going to need it. You're going to need the recollection of this. You're going to need the change this has made. And let me tell you, my viewers and listeners, I was not the same anymore, having been made consciously aware of this and having been one with home. I was fundamentally changed. And which door I came back through, I have no idea. I saw no doors at the time of return. They were gone. I didn't have to step through a door. It automatically happened. I didn't have to intentionally make a decision. The decision was when I decided I must tell others, and boom, I was back. And yes, there was no such thing as coming back without being fundamentally altered. It was a whole new me. That's all I can say about that. Now, I have found that here's where this is relevant to you. The point of the video. What does this mean to you? What can I tell you to help you? What does this have to do with your personal involvement, with your movement toward true selfhood, with your movement away from consciousness hijacking and away from perception deception? How is this relevant to you? Why am I telling you this? There are several things that immediately come to mind. One is that, well, before I proceed, one more thing I should tell you that fits in here. My old friend, with whom I was talking several days ago, added one thing. After he said, yes, you know where you're from. And then he reminded me of this. He mentioned the video. And then, yeah, oh, okay. You're talking about that. Yes, that's where I'm from. Right, okay. And he said, well, it has come to my awareness by whatever means he was referring to. I don't know. He did not say. But it has come to my awareness, perhaps something he read, something he heard, something like that, that only very, very advanced ascended masters have access to that. And he mentioned something about he was shown it, but didn't actually become one with it like I did. But he was shown it, like on a screen, that that is there, the reality of it. And there were beings that brought him to that point and let him see that, like looking at it rather than being in it. Okay. This is what prompted his inquiry to me, apparently. He immediately connected that with my old video and what I said in it and what I've now said to you. And he said that subsequent to both my video, him seeing my video, and his own experience along these lines, it came to his awareness that only highly developed, ascended masters have direct and full access to that. Well, okay. Addressing that, I am here on this channel for various reasons. And I can truthfully say to you that perhaps behind all of those reasons, at least in part, is the reason why I decided to return from my home, the home of my soul. I wanted to tell others about it, but there is much more to tell. And it's all that I have been putting together and telling you here on my channel. Tools of self-mastery, personal evolvement, true selfhood, consciousness hijacking, perception deception, the way of the world, the things opposing your own advance, and your true nature. All of that is all of that is what I have to say. But yeah, the impetus, the motivation, the essential message, yeah, it all roots in the reason why I came back. Now, but who and what am I? If I'm asked really now, right down at the bottom of affairs, who and what are you? All I can say is that I am, and I am the core of a being. I-ness, isness, is the same wherever it shows up. Stripped of all bodies, stripped of all manifested bodies, mental body, physical body, emotional body, astral body, energetic body, spiritual body, etc., then I-ness, whether it's the core of your being or mine, is the same thing. Just like willpower. Yes, there's yours, mine, somebody else's, but the will itself, the individualized will, is an individualized instantiation or focal point of universal willpower. It's the same wherever it shows up. It's the same stuff. And it has very close connection with that I-ness. It roots right in that I-ness, and at that point, they're kind of the same thing. Who and what am I? That's who and what I am. I'm this one. And right down at the core of affairs, you are that one. I happen to be more aware of that than some other people, and probably less aware of it than others. And I know I have a job to do, and I'm doing it right now. Whether I really am some ascended master, I don't know. I don't know. But I know my home. And I know who and what I am. And I encourage you, if you are human, to understand that it's most likely the case that your home is the same as mine. Your real home is the same as mine. I think so. It's most likely the case. I want you to think about this. I want you to have hope. I want you to have faith. I want you to have justified belief in these matters. You can think of me however you like. It's not who or what I am that is important here. It's what I have to say that is important here for you. And I want you to trust it. I want to remove from you doubt and replace it with confidence. I guess I've said enough. So, that's a half hour now. Exactly when I said, I guess I've said enough. Therefore, it's time to ask you. It's time to thank you for selecting this video on the Home of the Soul. And I want to ask you if you liked the video. And to remind you that if you did, give it a thumb up. And if you haven't done so yet, then take the time right now to subscribe to this channel. Again, I believe it's in your own best interest. It doesn't do much for me. It's more for you. And activate the notification bell feature and share the joy of the channel with others. This is Tharanki Ramacharaka, and I am Turk Strongman. Go be well. All right?